We're going to move on to joining the two pieces, the top and bottom, so it's a three-dimensional sculpture. Throughout this, because I cut most of my lines through the rough form, so you see they're pretty well parallel till you get down here into the tail area where that I couldn't really cut it. So I'm going to, it's like at the top, I have to make a decision whether I like top or bottom better. Then I'll start slicing and fitting, getting it all roughly fit together, close enough to weld. And then once I have the entire lower half as my order of operations, the lower half tack welded together, something I can split pretty easy, I'll move on to joining the upper body. Now on the upper body, I'm going to leave the butt attached to the upper body so that you don't see the seam coming around down in the butt area. So then I'll have to come through and slice out this region and get everything and part of the belly. I overbuilt the bottom of the belly, but I'll have to custom fit all that as we go, blend any seams. It's really not noticeable once it's done, unless you've got a really, really attentive eye, which most people don't. And from there, then the arms, the hands, the seashell. Hopefully by the end of the day too, I'll be on the seashell, have it set up and ready to go. So I'm gonna have the seashell with a stainless steel ball bearing as an oyster in there. So yeah, let's just get going on it and see where we can get. Hopefully I have the right words to describe what I'm doing here, because it's not an actual formulaic measurement situation that I'm coming into. But as I'm compressing and clamping, some things are sticking out, some things are touching. So I just keep trimming, looking at it from the angle from above where it'll be seen. If you do it from the bottom side, it's gonna be hit and miss whether the top side turns out right. See, there's a huge gap here. The curve comes around. Look, so I'm gonna slice this concave part out right here and slowly get that pulled in. I'm gonna have to nip out right in here at the point. So I want the sharp points to come up pretty tapering, really tapering, to try to hit still a muscular feature is what I want of what I imagine a mermaid tail would look like this. I don't know, maybe like octopus tentacles, to where it's coming down muscly and it's got an end and taper, but it's still not like a fin and floaty. So that's my whole goal for this. And you can see huge gaps over here, but we'll get to that in a minute. See, even right here, I'm not lining up perfect, not lining up good. Oof. Let's see if I can do this without tearing the camera up. So we're not in that way. So I'm going to try to push this over a little bit. Probably have to keep cutting the bottom out and bending and hammering the bottom in at an angle as I cut. And then once it's welded, it'll join. It just takes a lot of work. All right. Hey guys, today I have to tear the three-dimensional tail apart and cut and trim in the parts that don't fit where I can't get it on my slicer wheel. I seen a video a while back of using whiteout pins as a good means of metalworking, marking metal. They won't disappear with heat. So I'm gonna test the theory today. I've got a whiteout pin and the whiteout, I don't know, whatever you call this, with a little dauber brush. So I'm gonna mark it out where roughly about where I'm gonna cut it and try to start getting that all fit together. And by the end of the day, we'll find out if whiteout is gonna be a game changer or if I just wasted, I don't know, $8 total. We'll find out. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I've got one of these nuts that's sticking way above the other. So what I've done is mark it, and I'm gonna use a large drill bit to come in here and drill, knock out the welds. I could grind it too, but I'm gonna try a drill bit and then beat it down flush and re-weld it from the inside. And then I've got a couple spots that need filled in, possibly, hopefully. We'll see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Right in this area, I've got a gap, and the nut is just too wide from here to go in. So I'm going to try to shave down the sides and fit it in to try to make that spot disappear just a little, let's say. Send me right in here. I'll have to trim part of that out, but we can do it. It's time to move on to the two halves of the upper body. Like I said, I'm gonna leave all this one piece of the butt. So once I get this welded up, I have to start fitting it to the tail, cut the butt portion off of the tail, blend this in, try to hide the seams as best as possible. So that's where we're at. I'll start with the head, at the top of the head, shoulders, Try to balance everything out, see where it lines up the best. For some of the fit up starts getting tricky. What I'm going to do is estimate how many I'll need there, 2 to 3. I'll probably put 3 because I can trim it in later. And I'll need 1 up here, which will be cut down when I get my final lines. But I'm gonna take the baby back off. I don't even have to do much, but lay it down, start adding these back in. I'll mark the areas where I need them, and I'll build that back out, and then start cutting it to fit as we go. That's just a rough outline, and I'll figure the final fit here in a minute. All right, now the next move, because I had to come about 3 down, roundabouts, I don't exactly remember, it's been a minute. I went down test fit just now. But I'm going to use, we'll do it from this angle, I'm going to use the workbench and try to estimate the taper of the belly. So I'll throw these in and put very, very light tack welds on all of them so that I can manipulate everything with a hammer later. So I'll start getting that tack welded in. I'm going to add several more out and try to just keep rotating with the belly. That way I can get the concaveness of the belly done in. I think it was 3 on this side, 3 layers, excuse me. I'm going to put a few more in. It's easier to cut them out later than it is to keep coming back to this phase. So yeah, I'll get set up and rock and roll on it. Right, now that I've rebuilt the sides down here, I added this whole portion. You can see I'm clearly way over target, which is way fine with me. It's really, really good with me. I can come in and start trimming down as I need, pulling out. Might even need 1 more back there. We'll see when I get there. But for right now, I'm more than fine with having more here than I need. I just put a tack weld in on them. Any kind of luck, they'll be like a breakaway. There you go. Just a small breakaway weld, little tack weld. And I can start trimming in, getting closer and closer as I go. Looks like that was gonna have to go. Oop, I messed up. Didn't quite break away that one as good as I thought I did. Hopefully this small gap will be accented in the video here. But what I'm going to do with these is I got a heavier drift than I was using. I kept breaking that other one. I'm going to come in here and start trying to pry this back and up to where this tail will meet. It's easier when I'm not trying to get it on camera because I can get everything held in a little bit better. I'm gonna start closing up the gap on the big fins first, the really wide ones. Looks like I'm coming down too far here. So I'm gonna nip this off and start closing it with the C-clamp, see where I'm at with everything. I'm just kind of figuring out as I go here. Not sure if it's going to show up, but right next to my weld, that whiteout pin still holds in there. I'll take that as a win. Whiteout pin for marking metal and cutting and manipulating. I'm all about it. Let's do it. Getting started here this morning. I've broke out the big clamps because I've got some huge gaps right in here, if you can see. So what I've done is I'm pulling it down and through. It's hard to get a good angle here, but I've got contact right here. So I'm going to come back in with the slicer wheel, knock out probably looks like a good 1/4 inch and taper it down just a little bit, and then use these big clamps, these big Bessies, I think they are, to truly start forcing and manipulating. And you can see right in here this needs trimmed down. We can do that as it gets closer to making contact. I'll see, it looks like we are making contact right there. Yeah, I'll start slicing some stuff down while I'm looking at it, get it all drawn in till we've got a good mating surface, and keep right on getting her clamped in. I think today the plan, get the tail all at least tack welded in, if not solid, the upper body, get all that fitted in, and move on to the head, get the head prepared for hair, which will be our last step. But make sure everything's there. I'm gonna slice it down the middle, add a part line, and then once all that's done, I'll move on to the arms and hands. The hands will take a while. Hands are hard. But yeah, let's just get started today. What I just did here was run the slicer wheel all the way up through here, the cutoff wheel, because I've got a gap, a pretty good gap where it's too thick right here. It needs to come in. Now I can add nuts, but I think I'm gonna start beating this down in to try to make a little bit more definition. It'll never be seen underneath the tail, but I think I'd rather do that than add nuts. I'll probably still end up adding a few, but for right now I've sliced that out. There's a little gap here, so now I've got a good amount of area where stuff can start to bend and flex, because it's all welded on the one side, so I can get quite a bit of movement out of it. Except for some details, I've got the lower tail mainly roughed all together. So I'm gonna start joining the upper body, the finished assembly pieces here. There's definitely some gaps right in here. So I'm gonna come in with some pry bars, or not, excuse me, some punches. Try to come in and start hooking back and pulling back. Probably need a hammer to get a little persuasion underneath it. Get that joined up in, and right in here, there's a gap. So I'm gonna try to pull the lower body out just a little. You see it's moving pretty easy there. And maybe even have to hit this hip in just a little bit to make it join. If not, I can hide it with a weld. And so yeah, there's some pretty good gaps right in here, but a small weld's gonna hide all that. Finishing out, I've got rather big gaps for the head joints. So I'm gonna beat that down just a little bit and try to get it closer before I weld it. That'll all be hidden by the hair. So I'm lucky there. And so yeah, let's just get going on it. Before I start finishing anything out, the arms and all that, I'm going to figure out my hairline. And then I'm gonna come in with the slicer wheel from the edge of the hairline, cut a slice down the back, and then probably trim out the forehead region where I'm gonna have it. And then I'm gonna add probably some 1/8 inch rod, because I'm looking to part it. Looking for a solid line for a parted hair, and I'm gonna have pigtails. So I gotta figure that out. I've never done it before, and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna regret the way I'm gonna do this, but I'm going to eyeball, because I don't know where to get any measurements from. The center of the head. So again, these whiteout pins seem to be fairly awesome for doing this. I'm really sold on them now. Not getting paid to say that, just really I'm satisfied with them. I'm assuming that I'm not at the proper distance that I need just yet. I didn't put my glasses on earlier. So I got an 1/8 inch rod. This one I'm gonna try to put it. Yeah, it's gonna have to go wider, but it's going to work once I get down deep enough. Yep, I think that'll be perfect what I envisioned for the part line and the edges of the hair. That way the hair has an actual solid form. But we'll see. We'll see if I can get it. I'm gonna come in and walder it out a little bit with the bigger blades. Actually, while I got this one done up, let me get this lower part done. All right, now that I've got it welded up, I think pretty well done. Probably gonna be a few more touch-ups once I'm done grinding. But I'm gonna start grinding and blending all the seams in. It stands out for right now, but it won't by the time I'm done, and then heat color the whole thing. Not heat color, bring everything up to a red hot heat for a mill scale. I don't know if I'm super satisfied with the hairline. I think it's close enough. I'll get some up close pictures of it and see. But yeah, anyhow, I'm gonna start cleaning up all the welds, blending everything, cleaning up all the spatter that I've got all over it. And I think, short of anything major, I think I'm ready to move on to the arms tomorrow. So I'm gonna do the cleanup before I get my daughter from school and have to shut down for the day. But yeah, let's rock and roll.